Have you ever made a choice one night that changed everything? A choice that blurred the lines between right and wrong, family and desire? What if the person you least expected to see you at your weakest became the one who stirred feelings you couldn't control? This is the story of how one late night, after too many drinks, everything in my life shifted forever. The city pulsed with its usual rhythm, New York's restless heartbeat echoing through the towering skyline. From the penthouse windows, the neon lights flickered against the glass like silent reminders of the night I should have left behind hours ago. My name is Elena Carter, and on that night, my steps faltered as I reached for the door handle, my fingers trembling. My head spun, the remnants of martinis and laughter clouding my senses. The crimson dress I had chosen earlier clung to me like a daring secret, its fabric bold, its neckline too low, its hem just a little too short. I had worn it for confidence, for power. But now, as I stumbled barefoot onto the cool marble floor of my home, it felt like a dangerous choice. My balance wavered, my breath uneven. The city's symphony of honking horns and distant sirens carried on outside, indifferent to my disorientation. I thought I was alone. I thought the night would end quietly with me collapsing into bed, unobserved. But then I saw him. Caleb, my stepson, emerged from the shadows of the foyer. His tall frame and dark, steady eyes caught me by surprise. His presence was both startling and grounding. For a split second, my world steadied, and then his arms were around me, strong and protective, pulling me back from the edge of the staircase. "Elena," he said softly, his voice steady against the chaos swirling in me. The heat of his hands on my waist burned through the thin fabric of my dress, sending a jolt through me that had nothing to do with alcohol. My heart pounded, thundering in my chest, not just from the martinis but from something deeper, something forbidden. Caleb guided me carefully toward my room, his touch both comforting and dangerous. Every step was a blur of sensations, the plush carpet beneath my feet, his solid chest against my back, the faint trace of his cologne mingling with the city's musk. When we reached my bedroom, my knees buckled, and I collapsed onto the edge of the bed. Caleb knelt before me, his movements deliberate as he unfastened my heels. The brush of his knuckles against my calf made me shiver. His tenderness felt far too intimate. I wanted to protest, to tell him to leave, but when I reached for his wrist, my voice betrayed me. "Stay," I whispered, the word trembling between us like a fragile thread. His eyes met mine, conflict flickering in their depths. For a moment, I thought he might give in. That the tension crackling in the air would ignite into something unstoppable. But instead, he pulled away, his jaw tight. "You need to rest, Elena," he said, his voice strained. And then he left. I sank into the sheets, my dress twisted around me, my pulse racing. Sleep finally claimed me, but my dreams were tangled, filled with shadowed corridors, lingering touches, and the haunting memory of Caleb's steady gaze. When morning came, sunlight filtered through the sheer curtains, soft and golden, yet harsh against the pounding in my head. My body ached, not just from the drinks but from the weight of temptation. In the shower, the water poured over me, hot and relentless, washing away the haze but not the memory of his hands. By the time I wrapped myself in a silk robe and made my way to the kitchen, the silence of the penthouse was deafening. I busied myself with the ritual of coffee, grinding beans, poaching eggs, slicing bread, hoping the normalcy would soothe me. But my hands trembled, betraying the storm inside. When Caleb walked in, his hair tousled, his expression guarded, my heart stuttered. We sat across from each other at the table, the clink of cutlery filling the tense silence. I set my fork down, unable to hold it in. "Caleb," I said, my voice steadier than I felt, "we need to talk about last night." His jaw tightened, his gaze locked on his plate. "I know," he replied evenly. "But let's eat first. We'll need the strength for this." We finished our meal in silence, but every glance, every accidental brush of fingers across the table, burned like fire. Finally, I spoke again. "It wasn't just the alcohol, Caleb. I saw something in your eyes. Don't tell me you didn't feel it too." He looked up, his cheeks flushed crimson, his voice low. "I was just trying to help. That's all." But we both knew it wasn't true. The hours stretched on, each one heavier with unspoken words. By evening, the air between us was unbearable. In the kitchen, I poured us both a drink, the gin shimmering in crystal glasses. "Maybe this will help us talk," I said, sliding his across the counter. Our fingers brushed, and that touch sent a spark through me. He tried to resist, but his eyes betrayed him. They lingered, darkening every time they fell on me. And I let it happen. I leaned closer, the neckline of my dress slipping just slightly, inviting him to look. "Elena," he murmured, strained. "Don't." But when our eyes met, there was no turning back. I closed the distance, my lips finding his in a kiss that was both reckless and inevitable. It was a collision of need, years of restraint breaking in an instant. His hands gripped my waist with a desperate hunger that matched my own. The world beyond us disappeared. When the kiss ended, our breathing ragged, silence stretched between us. Guilt warred with desire, fear with exhilaration. Caleb pulled back slightly, his voice a whisper. "What have we done?" I touched his cheek, my own voice trembling but certain. "We've lived. We felt something real. And I don't regret it." That night marked a turning point. A line had been crossed, one that could never be erased. The next morning, as coffee brewed once again and the penthouse filled with sunlight, we stood across from each other, changed forever. "We need to be careful," Caleb said quietly, his eyes locked on mine. "I know," I replied. "But we can't pretend it didn't mean something." And so we made a choice. To carry this secret, to protect those we loved, even as desire pulled us deeper into uncharted territory. Because once that line was crossed, there was no going back.